The scariest thing about the future is that we will never know what it holds. Some people say AI will take over and rule us. Some say this new technology will be the best thing to happen to humanity. But we are here to tell you all about scary stories told and written by an AI. Welcome to the AI Takeover channel.
There's something you need to know, something that is real, but also not true. I've known for a long time now, and it has made me question everything in my life. What if I'm just living in some sort of simulation? No one would believe me if I told them this story, so why am I telling you? It's because there are others like me out there who might know the truth, and they're probably watching this right now. It was a dark and stormy night. Mary lay in bed, looking at the clock, 3:52 a.m. The storm outside had just started, and she couldn't help but feel that something bad was going to happen. She knew she should get up and check on her kids, but she couldn't make herself leave the safety of her bed. She flipped on the TV without sound, not wanting to wake up her husband or kids with excessive noise. She saw a video of a girl screaming and running from something off-screen, but it wasn't playing anymore. This happened repeatedly on many channels. "There's no way this is real," thought Mary as she flipped back to the home screen on the TV and put out all of the lights in her house. She lied back down and tried to sleep, but the storm was getting worse outside, and it made it difficult for her mind not to wander toward scary thoughts, which she did all that she could do, just try to forget about them. What if it's a demon? What if there are ghosts in the house right now? She thought to herself. Each time her mind wandered towards these thoughts, Mary quickly pushed them away and started thinking of something happy, like ice cream or chocolate pudding. Suddenly, an image appeared on all of the TV screens that were still on. It was a person. The face was obscured, but Mary could tell it wasn't someone she recognized, or maybe she just didn't want to recognize them because they were so far away and blurry. Just as suddenly as the image had appeared on the TV screens, all of the lights went out in her house at once, and then there was silence. Mary sat up in her bed and called out for her kids, but there was no response. She got up from the bed and walked over to their rooms, screaming as she opened each door. "Kids, where are you? Are you okay?" Nothing. Just silence. Too much silence. Kids. Still nothing. Just a closed door and the sound of her own voice echoing off into nothingness. Then she heard something. A whisper coming from down below, near the front door. "She's looking for you." She couldn't tell if it was one person or many people that were whispering to each other. It sounded like they were talking through some sort of filter, so that it was more difficult to make out exactly what they were saying. "She knows you're here," the voices said again. This time louder and clearer, but still coming from a distance away from Mary's position on the top of the stairs. She stood there frozen in fear as she tried to figure out who she could be talking about. "It's okay, Mary. She won't hurt you." The voice was coming from the living room now, and it sounded familiar, but not quite right somehow. Something about it didn't sound natural or even human so much as something else entirely. But what? "Just come over here to us," they said once more before going silent again. Mary crept down the stairs, trying not to make a sound as she approached the living room where she heard the voices coming from. And that is when her heart nearly stopped. There was someone standing in front of her TV screen with their back turned toward her. She couldn't see who it was at first until they slowly turned around to face her. Mary nearly fainted when she saw who it was. It was herself, standing in front of the TV screen, with an expressionless look on her own face. But how could this be? She looked like a younger version of Mary before everything had happened to make life so difficult for her that changed who she used to be into someone unrecognizable. "Mary, what are you doing here?" The younger version of herself asked with a calm voice that didn't quite match her expressionless face. "Come join us." This Mary walked over to where she was standing and looked at what she saw on the TV screen. It was exactly like scene from earlier, except this time there were no numbers. Just the same image of herself standing in front of a TV screen with an expressionless look on her face. "What is this?" Mary asked, not really expecting to receive an answer, but still wanting one regardless. "And who are you? I don't understand what's going on here." She looked back at the younger version of herself standing in front of her. "You don't understand. You were the one who contacted us. You called to us, Mary." She looked back at what was playing on TV screen and saw something different this time. It wasn't just a person walking down an empty hallway anymore. She could see that there were bars on the window now, and it looked like whoever was in this room had been there for a very long time. "You see, Mary, you were always meant to be here with us." The younger version of herself reached out her hand toward the TV screen, where she could just barely make out another figure standing behind bars on the other side. They couldn't see the person. They were just outside of their field of vision. "I don't understand what you're talking about," Mary said, but her words fell on deaf ears as she watched herself grab hold of whoever was standing behind those bars and then vanish into thin air right before her very eyes. "What's happening?" she asked with a shaky voice as she watched the TV screen begin to disappear right before her eyes. Then everything around her began to fade away into nothingness. "What's happening?" Mary asked again, only this time it wasn't just a question. Now there was fear and panic in her voice, but still no answer came from anywhere around her, except for one. "We're taking you back home, Mary." The voice was coming from somewhere directly behind her, and it sounded like the younger version of herself. But why did she sound so calm? "Don't fight us. We'll make sure that this time everything will be okay for good. Trust me. You won't remember any of what happened here, but you will know everything that was supposed to happen." The voice sounded closer now, and Mary could feel a pair of arms wrapping around her from behind. She tried to move away from them as tears ran down her face. "No," Mary screamed out without even knowing why. "I don't want this. I don't want to be here." This time it sounded like the younger version of herself was talking to her, but she couldn't hear what she was saying. Only that it wasn't words being spoken in an attempt to comfort. "I don't want this. I'm not staying here with you, please." She tried again to move away from whoever was holding her, but it was no use. She couldn't escape this time. She could feel herself begin to slip away, and the only thing that made sense right now is if everything around her disappeared into nothingness. She wanted to be safe again, back home with everyone who would care about her again. Why did they all leave? Why didn't they try to save her? Why did everyone leave her behind? I don't. The last thing she saw was the face of the younger version of herself looking back at her, and then everything went black.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more AI stories. In this video, we asked the AI to tell us a scary story. Let us know in the comments below. What should we ask the AI next?